Thank you, everyone, and good evening. It is such a great privilege to be with all of you. Tremendous friends, thank you. Thank you to the Republican Jewish Coalition for having me this evening. Thank you. So like all of you, I am heartbroken by the news that we received over the weekend. As the IDF was closing in and freedom was within reach, Iran-backed Hamas murdered 6 innocent hostages, including our fellow American hero, Hirsch Goldberg, Poland. God bless him, yes. For over 330 days, Hirsch had been held by Hamas after having one of his arms blown off while trying to save others on October 7th of 2023. The reality is, Hirsch should still be alive today. My heart aches for his parents and the rest of his family. John and Rachel have been tireless advocates for the release of their son and for all of the American hostages. The grief and pain they bear is absolutely unimaginable. And I know that the Nutra family was here as well. I was able to see Orna and Ronan before I came in this evening. And God bless you. We all pray for the return of your son, Omer. So may God be near to the families of our hostages. We must bring them all home now. Bring them home. Thank you. And we will see them home. This Monday, folks, I returned from the Middle East for my 4th visit to the region since the attacks of October 7th, 2023. The first trip into Israel was on October 10th. To stand shoulder to shoulder with our ally and her people. Now, on this most recent trip, I spoke to the leaders of Israel, Jordan, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar. I sat down with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and he shared with me Israel's need for our continued partnership with the United States as Israel fights for their democracy on every side. Their right to exist. And first and foremost, to bring our hostages held in Gaza home to their families. Prime Minister Netanyahu explained that the combined military and social pressures are forcing Hamas to the negotiating table. He also shared that the Israeli Defense Force is choking out Hamas's ability to operate by denying their ability to resupply themselves. During my meetings with the leaders in the region, I delivered one simple message. We need to bring home our American hostages, and we must ensure a favorable outcome for the safety and security of our Jewish friends. Israel has every right to defend herself, period. Hamas must be destroyed. Period. Iran must be held accountable. Period. And our remaining American hostages must be freed and reunited with their loved ones. Period. Friends, we must keep moving forward to a deal, but one that is not just favorable to Israel, but one that ensures the forever survival of Israel. One that destroys Hamas's ability to reconstitute in the region and brings our hostages home. Now is the time for all regional leaders like Egypt, Jordan, Qatar, and others to use all of their leverage to secure a deal. The United States expects her friends to do everything they can to pressure Hamas and secure the release of the hostages. Anything short of maximum pressure and effort by these partners will have major consequences. There is no time for delay, or we could lose even more innocent souls. Friends, there must be no daylight between our ally in the Middle East and the United States. But the risk-averse Biden-Harris administration has failed to support Israel in its worthy effort to destroy Hamas and put maximum pressure on the Iranian proxy group's leaders. Instead of upholding their so-called ironclad commitment to Israel, the Biden-Harris White House is withholding weapons to our greatest Middle Eastern ally. This is deeply irresponsible at a time when Israel faces threats on 7 different fronts. And all of these threats have one thing in common. Folks, what is that one thing in common? Iran. They are fueled and funded by Iran. Folks, we must not forget that the RJC and its proxies are not just a danger to Israel and our Arab allies in the Middle East. They are a very real threat and danger to the United States and our people. Since October 7th, Iranian proxies have attacked U.S. forces in the region over 175 times, including a drone attack on a U.S. base in Jordan that killed 3 American servicemen and wounded 40 others. That American U.S. Army Reserve unit is a unit that young Joni Ernst served in years ago as a platoon leader. Though the left and their cohorts in the media refuse to admit it, we did not have this global chaos years ago. Under President Trump's leadership, the United States forged the Abraham Accords, the greatest peace deal between Israel and Arab countries in modern history. The Accords, and yes, please applaud that. The Accords deepened cultural, economic, and defense ties, uniting the Middle East against their common threat of Iran. The impact of the Abraham Accords was evident this spring when Iran attacked Israel with an unprecedented 300 projectiles. 99% of those drones and missiles were intercepted in a massive victory against what was supposed to be Tehran's show of force. Yes, this resounding success, folks, was largely made possible due to the support it received from members and prospective members of the Abraham Accords. Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Jordan provided crucial military intelligence support. The joint Arab-Israeli interception was the realization of a vision I laid out in the Defend Act, which became law in 2021. We need all of our partners, folks. So, friends, let's make no mistake. Iran fears a united Middle East. Iran fears peace. And it's time for us to reinstill fear in this ruthless regime. Israel deserves nothing short of America's full-throated support, a true ironclad commitment. But you and I both know that can only happen if we re-elect Donald J. Trump. And it will only happen then if we take back the United States Senate and we expand the majority in the House. Kamala Harris will not be the friend that Israel needs. I've known her in the Senate, folks. She's not only sympathetic to the pro-Hamas wing of the Democrat Party, but she is surrounding herself with pro-Iran advisors. She refused to unequivocally condemn the anti-Semitism scattered across college campuses, and instead said protesters, and I'm not joking about this, folks, she said they were, quote, showing what human emotion should be, end quote. Just last week, she refused to answer whether or not she supports an arms embargo on Israel. That should be a simple answer. And most importantly, she adheres to the myth of a non-nuclear Iran in exchange for sanctions relief. Folks, Iran hates America and has active bounties on U.S. officials, including President Trump. Any further appeasement of this terrorist state is malpractice and will lead to grave consequences for our homeland. Just as we saw last weekend, Iran and its proxies have been emboldened to celebrate the death of Americans when they should be cowering in dread of the response awaiting them for spilling American blood. But sadly, this mindset has become the norm under a Biden-Harris administration. 3 years ago, against the advice of top military leaders, President Biden and Kamala Harris lit the spark that let the world catch on fire. Their disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal was a catalyst for the chaos we are witnessing in the Middle East. America retreated, abandoning our allies and emboldening our adversaries. And now, our friends don't trust us, but even more alarming, our foes do not fear us. Simply put, The United States is not the leader it needs to be. And folks, we must chart a new course. So friends, I believe in American leadership. Peace through strength. I believe in America first, always, but never America alone. We must continue on a course forward, and that means forging strong partnerships and allied networks. This is essential to America's security and prosperity. The United States is not here simply for the good of the world, but to provide security and stability in order to protect our country, our people, and our way of life. In our United States Army, which strengthened and developed me, leadership is not defined by your title or by your rank. Leadership is about inspiring others to a common goal or objective for the good of the unit or the organization. These challenges require true leadership. Now is not the moment for America to shrink back. It's not the time to appease our adversaries and abandon our allies. It's not the time to promote progressive fantasies at the expense of the safety and security of our nation and her people. It is, however, the moment for the United States of America to reemerge as the leader our people deserve and the world needs. And together, with your dedication and support, we will make this happen. So thank you again for having me with you, RJC. Thank you. May God bless all of you. May God bless Israel. And may God bless our great United States of America. Let's make it happen.